And before I get started, I had to share something with you that I shared with many of you at the Savings Conference. In my pocket, I have a gift card for Petco, the pet store, because my friend got me a gift card so I can buy a pet. And I'm still having trouble with the loss of my hamster. My hamster died back in October. And I've been really sad about it. And it really bothered me because my hamster died when I was in the kitchen trying to make coffee. And when I think of my hamster, he was a tough little hamster. He was a tough little hamster because when you tried to feed him, he would bite your finger. And when you tried to pet him, he would bite your finger. But my most memorable day was going to the veterinarian with my hamster. And by the way, for those of you that have pets, veterinarians are very expensive, right? So I took my little hamster to the vet because there was something in his eye. His eye was like this. And I didn't know what was wrong, and it's my little hamster, and I care about him. So I took my little hamster to the vet, and they brought him in the room, and they tried to hold him and figure out what was going on with his eye. And he bit the veterinarian. My hamster's cool. So they had to go out and get a nurse to also work with the veterinarian to hold that little 2-inch hamster down. So now we had a nurse and the veterinarian holding my hamster, and he bit her. She storms out of the room, and they finally get 2 more nurses to hold down my hamster. And finally they held down that little hamster. He didn't bite at this point, and they figured out what was wrong with his eye. And what was hard for me was that as I was looking at this happen, my anxiety started to get higher and higher. I started to really feel it in my chest. And the reason I was feeling that way, because seeing my hamster get restrained reminded me of being in a psychiatric ward as a kid and watching other patients get restrained when they would act out. My name is Veny, and I struggle with mental health issues. I've been struggling my whole life. Even as I stand here right now and talk to you, I'm struggling with them. And I compare everything to food. Who likes food? Okay, so you can all be my friend. You all like food. So check this out. If you come over to my house, I will cook for you. Okay? I will cook for you. You can ask my friend Brendan, right? Brendan, I will cook for you, right? But if you want to become my friend and really develop a relationship with me, you need to stay out of my kitchen. Picture a big giant oven, a Viking oven. And in one frying pan, you've got my obsessive compulsive disorder. Over here you have another frying pan, and you've got my anxiety. And I'm feeling it right now. And in this frying pan, you got my anger. And I'm getting angry right now. And then right here, you have this giant stock pot where I put all the ingredients from each frying pan in and put the lid on it. And this is a grease fire waiting to happen. And in my kitchen, there are mirrors everywhere. Because everything in my world is about me. I'm stuck in my head. It's like a giant funhouse. There are curved mirrors, there are slanted mirrors, and I struggle with this every day. I struggle with the disorder that 1/3 of therapists are afraid to treat because it will bring up too many of their own emotions. I struggle with narcissistic personality disorder. I've been this way my whole life. And it's gotten me hospitalized, medicated, and life always hasn't been easy. It started in 4th grade with me. My parents, my lovely parents, they put me in Catholic school. You know why? They thought the nuns would straighten me out. They thought the nuns would teach me to behave. And I'll never forget it. Her name was Sister Pat. She yelled at me one day because I was smiling. I tend to smile a lot. You can see in my picture, I smile a lot. And I was smiling as a 4th grader. And Sister Pat told me to stop smiling. And I told her no. And everyone went, ooh. And then she came up to me and grabbed my arm, and I hit her. Hit a nun in the 4th grade. And then she threw holy water on me and called me the devil. And I threw the holy water back at her and I said, put it on your wrinkles. My parents had a talk with me that night. They said, Michael, you cannot talk to adults like that. And I said, no one has a right to talk down to me. No one has a right to talk down to me. And even to this day, no one has a right to talk down to me. Am I right? No one has a right to talk down to you. So shortly after that, in 5th grade, I was put in special education. And in special education, I learned about this wonderful concept of your pencil on your desk makes a really good sound when you tap it. I started to get into this thing called drumming. Really, really liked it. And whenever I was in the drumming class, I always felt good. I was happy. But whenever I was out of drumming, I was angry, upset, stressed, and depressed. In 5th grade, I started actually maturing faster than the girls. Around that time, age 10, usually the girls are maturing much quicker than the guys. So I was like that big kid in class. And so I started to get emotional and very depressed. And I actually tried to kill myself in 5th grade at 10 years old. And if it wasn't for my mom rushing into the emergency room, I wouldn't be here today. I'm very grateful that she did. Shortly thereafter, I was hospitalized again in 7th grade for about 4 months. I was acting out at home. I was throwing things. I was trying to fight my parents, and no one knew what was going on. Inside, I'm just angry. I'm angry and upset all the time. No one knew what to do and why. They put me on every medication possible. I saw every doctor possible. No one knew what to do. Finally, I was hospitalized one more time in 10th grade, age 15. And you know you've been hospitalized for a while, and they take out your records and they go thump on the desk. And that was my last hospitalization forever. And people always ask me, they say, well, what happened after 10th grade that changed your life? And I want you to hear me out here. I'll never forget that summer. It's between 10th and 11th grade. And I was in the driveway. And my mom said to me, Michael, no school wants to take you, because no school wanted me anymore because I was too bad. And she said, we don't know what to do. So I was standing out there, and I had a pastor. So I'm playing with my basketball, and my parents said, well, Mike, we have to find a school for you. And I said, I have this really good idea. I'm going to quit school. And my dad said, I'm going to get arrested if you quit school. And I said, that's not my problem, buddy. And I just kept on playing basketball. And then my mom's great. I love moms. Love my moms. My mom said to me, she said, Michael, what do you want? And I told her, I want to play the drums every day of my life. All day, every day. And my dad said, there's no way you are playing drums in my house. All day, every day. He said, whatever, Daddy. Then my mom said to me, she goes, give me a week to figure this out. Moms are always on this stuff. You ever notice that? So for the entire week, I go up to her, Mommy! What's going on? We'll talk about it in a minute. Tell me! Michael, we'll talk about it. And by the end of the week, she said, I think I have a solution for you. She said, I found a school on Long Island where you could play drums all day at a performing arts high school. And she got me into the Long Island High School for the Arts. Now, what was very interesting was when I came in 11th grade. I looked a lot different, by the way. Weighed about 50 pounds less. I had hair. I used to have hair, by the way. It was cool back in the day. I had sideburns and goatee. I was cool back in the day. And so I get into the school, and a funny thing happened. I got angry. I started feeling it coming. But this time, something different happened. When I got angry, I went into a practice room and played the drums. And the teacher would come in and say, Mike, that sounds good. We're going to do that in the concert. So now, I'm flipping out, I'm angry, I'm upset, and I go play this, and people think it's really cool. And eventually people started paying me to do it, and that's one of the reasons I became a professional drummer. It's for my own recovery, it makes me happy, and it bonds me with people. You know, as a person with mental health challenges, I'm just like many of you, we all struggle with challenges, am I right? And sometimes people look at us funny and judge us, right? And I've struggled with this my whole life. However, I want to share with you 3 ways that I've learned to transform stigma around mental health, but can also be used for advocacy. And I want everyone to really listen to this. One of the first things that I learned is that you have to take care of yourself. Got it? You gotta take care of yourself, whatever that is. That might be taking your medication, going to the doctor, going to group. So I live in New York City, right? And I had a leak in my apartment. And the leak was getting worse and worse. And I came home one day, and I was angry beyond belief because the ceiling had fallen onto my hamster's cage. My hamster, he looked freaked out. So I grabbed his cage, put him in the other room. I told him it was going to be okay. I don't know if he understood me, but I told him it was going to be okay. So I was trying to figure out who lived upstairs. I couldn't figure it out. I would knock on the person's door. Couldn't figure it out. I was getting angry. It's getting worse and worse. We're talking about now 2 weeks of leaks. So I put a note under the door. I called the landlord. No one knew who lived upstairs. That's New York City for you, right? So one day I'm sitting in the coffee shop, and I got this phone call from the guy that lived upstairs. And he said, Mike, I want to meet you in front of the apartment. And I said, oh yeah, I want to meet you. And I was angry. So I walked from the coffee shop to my apartment, and I'm ready for a fight. So I get to my apartment, and standing in front of me is a 6'5" German bodybuilder. It's amazing how things change. And I said, hi! Can I show you a leak? It's amazing how your attitude changes. And so we began talking, and he promised me a free consultation for the leak. So New Year's comes around, and I decided, I want to look buff, right? So I can look good when I go to the club, right? I want to look good. So I talked to the trainer, and we sat face to face, and I just wanted a quick workout to get my arms looking good, but that's all I wanted. And he says to me, at the end of our session, he goes, Mike, I have a confession to make. I said, what? He said, I'm bipolar, and I struggle with anxiety. And he told me that he follows my blog, Transforming Stigma. And he designed a workout for me, not to get me buff, but to help with my mental health challenges and my emotional challenges. And to this day, he gives me workouts to help me. It's important to find ways to take care of yourself. Got it? Number 2, you've got to keep mental health, addiction, disability issues in the conversation, okay? We talk about it here, but sometimes we go out there and don't talk about it. Am I right? It's important to keep it in the conversation. It really, really is. One of the things I love to say at events is a controversial subject called gay marriage. Whether you support gay marriage or are against it, doesn't matter. hear me out here. The fact is, gay marriage is getting legislation because people are keeping it in the conversation. So when you talk about things, that changes things. Everyone got that? So it's okay to talk about stuff. I sometimes ask, as I'm standing up here, what do you see? Do you see a drummer? Do you see Mike? Or do you see an African-American man? It doesn't matter what you see, but chances are you might have a label for me. And sometimes people use very bad labels for people with disabilities, am I right? It's important to have conversations so we can learn to erase labels. One thing you will never hear me say is that I'm mentally ill. I don't do that. I say I struggle with mental health challenges. Okay? There was a time when even with cancer, people would say someone is cancer. No, you don't say that, you say someone has cancer. So I think it's really important to keep things in the conversation. The other thing is to look for teachable moments. So think about what I just said. Take care of yourself, keep it in the conversation, and look for teachable moments. All of you have something in common in this room. You have a challenge that you've gone through that can help someone else, am I right? And sometimes the best way to help yourself is to help someone else. I know that I've had friends come to me with their own mental health challenges because they know that I talk about it and they feel safe, and that's a teachable moment for me to talk to them. So it's really important to do that. So the three things that I always tell people to transform stigma and to become excellent advocates is to take care of yourself, keep things in the conversation, and look for teachable moments. Can I share the story with you of one of my favorite advocates? There's a woman by the name of Rosa Parks. Have you heard of her? Yeah. Now, Rosa Parks, if I'm correct, is the face of the civil rights movement. And she's the face because she said no when she was told to sit in the back of a bus that was segregated. Am I right? And these rules, blacks had to sit in the back. So Rosa Parks said no, and she gets arrested. She's arrested. Now, something interesting you should know about Rosa Parks. Many people think she was the first person to boycott the bus situation, but she wasn't. There were many blacks before her that got arrested too. But why is it that we only know about Rosa Parks? Well, I learned why. Because Rosa Parks is the ultimate, or was the ultimate, advocate. She kept things in the conversation, she took care of herself, and she looked for teachable moments in the community. After Rosa got arrested in Birmingham, Alabama, she actually got the best lawyer in Birmingham to work with her. And every single person in the town of Birmingham was angry that Rosa got arrested. So it wasn't about a black person getting arrested. It was about everyone's friend, Rosa, getting arrested. Got it? And so because of that, the entire town rallied around her. And the best part of the story is this lawyer calls up his church. And he says, listen, we gotta have a meeting. And the guy on the other end of the phone says, we can't meet here. My schedule's packed. So the lawyer got no firm and said, no, we gotta have a meeting, this is serious. We need to organize a major boycott of the buses. The guy on the other end of the phone says, we can't. Finally, the lawyer says, listen, Dr. Martin Luther King, whether or not you like it, we're coming to your church. And that is actually how the civil rights movement started, because of an advocate like Rosa Parks. So I need you to promise me something. Can you promise me something? I need you to think about this in the next week. Think about a way that you can try to keep disability issues, mental health issues in the conversation. Think about a way that you can look for teachable moments, and think about a way that you can take care of yourself. Can you repeat this after me? Can you say, I will take care of myself. I will keep things in the conversation. Can you say, I will look for teachable moments?